Hello and welcome, PocketWatch here, and it's about time for another episode of the irae. So this time I'm not going to give you any intro or anything because I want to just go into the episode, because apparently it's going to be different from what we saw last time. So finally I'm probably over with the foreknowledge like deja vu thing, because yeah, that's how I felt and I can feel how Mercurius feels now. So yeah, finally something new. Yeah, like last two episodes were kinda like, I mean, there was like some new stuff, but it was kinda tedious. So yeah, some new stuff, but you know what I mean. Anyway, let's just go. I took morning for me to regain consciousness.
まあまあ、そういつまでも自己嫌悪してないで。ヒーローが色仕掛けに弱いのはお約束でしょ。
Wait, Ellie been in the school last time? I forgot. Okay, first thing I need to like the verification from you guys. I forgot if Ellie been in school in the previous road. Was she? I forgot if that was the case. I don't think that was the case. I think Ren came just only with Shiro last time. Even since we left the club to investigate the school premises, Honjo had been unable to shut her mouth about this.
だから色仕掛けなんか食らってないって言ってるだろ
じゃあ何食らったの？
う。それは
言えないような手なら色仕掛けみたいなもんでしょ。
She let out a cackle and patted me on the shoulder. Well, I guess she was right in a sense. I shouldn't exactly call that seduction, but the logic was the same. God, I wish she could stop talking about it
そ
already.
れで彼女らはここに行ったのかな？
多分な。
So, wait. He didn't came here with Shiro this time? But with Ellie? Okay, if that's the case, then this is like 100% different. Who will fight Bei now? We stood in front of the gates of Tsukino High. I couldn't think of any other places where Kasumi and Sakurai could have chosen to go together. I can't believe she kidnapped Kasumi of all people. My chest was a wheel with a tempest of anger, frustration and guilt. But now wasn't the time to wallow in emotions. If Kasumi was here, all I had to concentrate on was saving her and taking any enemies out that might stand in my way. Beyond those gates, I would likely meet with a full-blown battlefield.
オッケー。じゃあ行こうか。
Okay, this is definitely new. She was not in school in the previous episode. In like previous road. Where was she? What was she doing in the previous road at this point? What? I think she went like to fetch something. Was she maybe? I don't know. As the two came back in the morning and learned the situation, they actually used rock, paper, scissors to decide who would accompany me on the search for Kasumi. Apparently, they had some pressing business to take care of that required at least one of them. And so Honjo won and tagged along with me. I'd say Shiro was the better option, but I'd be lying, they were both the same really. Yeah, so this is new. Okay, so last time Shiro won rock, paper, scissors. Okay. That's interesting development. So we have like badass character, but not as badass and not that like battle oriented. So I have a bad feeling about this, because last time Shiro been able to fend off Bei pretty well by himself. Ellie not so much.
ん？どうした？
It was just well, why she's sent by school uniform anyway? Yeah, that's my question as well. Like, why she's in school? I guess she just want to like blend into the, you know, environment. So no one will question why she's here.
月額の制服はマニアックで有名だからさ。入手経路はいろいろあるのよ。
Okay, or that. That's true. Okay. She got a point. A bunch of ways to end up at the president, more like, yep. I make a sign as Honjo began feeling scared. subtly flashing her underwear in my direction.
知らねえぞ。そんな薄手のひらひら着ててどうなっても。
アクションでパンツ見えるくらい私気にしないし。
俺もパンツなんかどうでもいいけど、それ隠す場所がないだろう。バレバレすぎるぞ。
I mean, I can find a place where you can hide the gun in this outfit. A huge revolver had been tucked awkwardly into one of her knee socks. I didn't know much about guns and couldn't tell what type that was, but it definitely didn't seem like something a guy should be waving around. Yeah, that also feels uncomfortable as fuck. Like, gun is heavy. You cannot just like put it like in the knee sock. Like it will just like fall over if you like move. Like what the fuck?
堂々としてれば意外と誰も気にしないもんだって。それからこの制服可愛いのはいいけど、やっぱ寒いね。で、
知るか。
Honjo slid a finger through the hole in her uniform shoulder area and began shaking to over-exaggerate the coldness of the weather. I'd had enough of her antics by this point. It was hard to tell if she was full of spite or just relied on her carefree attitude to dispel the tension. But no amount of playfulness would help us past this point. Also, what was the business that they had to attend? Can you remind me in the comments? There's some business that I know this was like mentioned later, right? I think like it was relevant later in the previous road, but I don't remember what kind of business that was that they had to like attend to. So that would be a good reminder of the previous road, I guess. So counting on you on that.
お前、本当にいいんだな。
さっき OK って言った。
Well, fine. If that was what she wanted, then so be it. I knew I needed to watch her back. She being Shiro woman and all, but I only had one pair of arms and no means of cloning myself. My job was to fight, not to guard her. Only I had the chance against either Sakurai or Rusaoka. In short, Honjo's job would be survey the area and look for Kasumi. Yeah, you cannot really defeat Rusaoka, we learned that in the previous road.
わかってるって。私はシロよりまだなんぼ。
I wonder if Rusaoka is going to have fun with Kasumi, like, in this road as well. I really hope that was the case. We would have a pretty big problem if it wasn't.
手出して。
Okay. She raised a hand at her chest level, understanding what she was meaning to do. I gave her first nudge on my own. Her fist a nudge. With my own. What? Or at least I tried to.
いや、チン。
Okay. What the fuck? The hell did she retract her hand for? I ended up ramming my fist into her breast.
いい思いして。気合入ったでしょ？
Yeah, sure, whatever you say. Oh my god.
つーか気合が抜ける。
じゃあ、うまい具合にリラックスしたと考えよう。女のおっぱいは偉大。
Well, she had pretty good shouts. Okay. Don't rock.
でかい声でわめくな。
無事帰ったら生父。
黙れセクハラ女。
And so, with her probably trying to cheer me on, we passed through the gates. At that moment, yep, you just got hit by Bay for a degree. I didn't even know how to describe it. It felt as if we passed through a warm membrane of some sort. I felt my body instantly grew heavier and had trouble breathing. What the hell was going on in here? I shook my head, helping to get this sudden lightheadedness away as Hanjo addressed me from behind.
あれ見て。
I turned around to see... Red moon, yep. Giant disc of full moon hanging in the sky. Its ominous reddish light pierced through my skin like needles. I shuddered from the cold, feeling inexplicable exhaustion, like exhaustion take a hold of my body. More importantly, Honjo dangled her left wrist in front of my eyes. the watch on it said 8:30 a.m.
今日は満月の日じゃないのにね。
And also, it's morning.
ここは夜で月が丸い。多分。待って。
Hunter grabs my hand as I try to take a step back outside through the gates.
やめた方がいい。わかんないけど。
Yeah, she was right. No matter how you look at it, there was something wrong with this place. It probably wouldn't let me leave. And even if it did, not being able to come back, it would be even worse.
外側からじゃ何も変わってなかったのにね。
The world changed the moment we took a step through the gates. A dark night enveloped us in the middle of an early
心
morning.
当たりある？
None. I never knew it was even possible to kill something like this. Yeah, you don't know about third degree yet. There's a lot of stuff that can like happen. If I had something to liken it to, then it seems kind of equivalent to the beach that Mari dwelt in suddenly manifesting in the real world. How could one even do such a thing? Nothing made sense to me in here. Yep.
役立たずだ。
そう。でもまあ。
Honcho gave me a smile as she patted me on the back. I couldn't see the usual carelessness in that curl of her lips, but managing to force a confident smile in a place like this was quite an achievement, as far as I was concerned. She was no damsel in distress material.
死ぬの生きるの人生劇場を見て育ったからね。多少のことじゃビビんないよ。
Okay, yep. I can agree on that. I still don't think you are great battle type, and you don't like have like a lot of firepower just like Shiro would have, so I don't know how will you help us exactly. Sure, you can like provide support, just like you providing support to Shiro, like attacking from behind, flanking and stuff, so like distracting, but you don't seem like a type that can like fight head on, so yeah. I have a feeling like maybe you will switch like opponent here. Maybe Ren will fight Bei and she will go to fight Rusauka, but she will fail miserably. I don't see any scenario where Ellie would like actually fight someone and like hold like ground. I can see that.
レン君は
She's badass, but not badass.
ああ、俺は大丈夫。
This inexplicable exhaustion was a bit of a problem though. I had no idea what was going on, but I felt dizzy and short of breath, as if I suddenly been brought to the summit of a large mountain or something. Both my hands and feet had grown numb. I wasn't even sure if I could perform a proper fist.
歯をこうやって口から息して。あとはそうだね。切れないこと。
Okay, she figured out it pretty fast. I obeyed her calm voice. I didn't know if her suggestion would be any of use, but at the very least, taking a deep breath made me calm down a bit. They said that the positive attitude was the best medicine after all.
はいな。
Okay. And so we stepped into the shroud of darkness waiting for us beyond the door. I was prepared for battle. I couldn't say I got used to either killing others or risk my own life, but I could at least face it as an inescapable fact. Also, last time Shiro was like echolocating basically Rhea and people, and Ren was just using his senses. I wonder how Ellie will search for people. Still, the situation seems far worse than I had ever imagined. I had a very bad feeling about this Kasumi. I felt as if there was more dread and despair waiting for me beyond those doors than anything I've lived through till this point. Okay.
さーて、こりゃどこ行っても同じだね。
So we're searching for a while now. We explored the school, carefully investigating each room from the first floor to the fourth. The price reminded shrouded in darkness, without a single ray of light finding its way inside. I felt just as exhausted as before, with my strength slowly seeping out of my body, as if being siphoned out by some invisible power. Still, there was one thing we likely managed to discover.
さっきはありがとな、本庁。
まあ私のここはちょっと敏感だからね。
Okay. She pointed her nose and made every smile. She hadn't told me to breathe through my mouth. I might have been done for this in this point. The black, jelly-like things slithering around were remnants of blood and flesh. Oh, okay. That seems to have been rotting here for hundreds of years. Even though they began breathing through my mouth, the disgusting smell was turning my brain to mush. I probably would have gone insane the moment I took a lungful of this rotten air through my nose.
ブラド・ツェペス・ドラクル公。500年前のルーマニアの王様は
Oh!
オスマントルコと戦争した時、捕虜を何千人も串刺しにして国の街路にさらしたらしいよ。
Okay, Ellie, you are not that far from the truth.
超放置。
Pretty good description of what's happening, I guess.
当時のトランシルバニアはきっとこんなんだったんだろうね。そりゃブラムストーカーもネタにするわ。
Honjo didn't exactly spell it out, but she already had a guess as who was responsible for this. And so did I, of course. Any fool would realize the nature of this place upon setting foot inside. The school was transformed into a vicious hunting ground for the beast ruled by an aggressive, insatiable lust for flesh, a demonic paradise of blood. Its only spectacle, the full moon perched in its skies of eternal darkness. And who else would lord over a realm like this than a vampire? In other words,
ビルヘルム。
yep, pretty much. He was here. So this time, I had to prepare not only for Sakurai and Rusauka, but for him as well. And I had a feeling he was the most dangerous of them all.
まあ言ったね。はた
She ruffled her hair.
なんていうか単純に怖い。得体が知れないのは神父だし、ギャップが気持ち悪いのはルサルカで、
Yeah.
強いと思うのは死体野郎だけどさ。
Shh, Ellie, shh. Okay. Now I think about this, because we have Ellie, not Shiro. That mean that we may not discover Wilhelm weakness, because last time Shiro been able to find the weakness of Wilhelm in this fight. And that's how he managed to beat him in the second encounter. But this time, we may not be able to deal with Wilhelm. At least Shiro will not be able to. So I think it's going to be Ren who's going to be actually fighting like Wilhelm this time.
あいつはこううまく言えないけど、向かい合うと緊張するじゃん。
同感だ。
That psycho was an amalgamation of malice and raw bloodlust. Meeting him in battle meant to fight to death with no alternatives. As such, no petty tricks would all work on him. I didn't even mean Honjo, who had yet to find a weapon that could be effective against them. Even for me, who was still inferior as far as sheer strength and experience was concerned, Wilhelm was likely the worst opponent to fight. Yeah, I agree. Like, Wilhelm is like the strongest one out there, outside of like Trifa, and now Samuel. But yeah, outside of Trifa, he's like number one from the people who are like there. You couldn't possibly beat him in straight fight, and yet it didn't seem like he did any other kind.
こりゃあかすみちゃんを早いとこ引っさらって逃げた方がいいかもよ。桜井ちゃんから聞いた話じゃ、戦場にならないとスワスチカは開かないんでしょ？
Yeah, it improves quality, but they don't necessarily need it.
そうだが。
However, there was one thing I couldn't get out of my mind.
本当にここには俺たちしかいないと思うか？
No.
え？
そうあってほしいとは思うし、そうでなきゃ最悪だけど、最近は楽観主義ができなくなってな。
The main objective might indeed have been to lure and fight us here. But what if we decided to ignore them? Would they just sit there for days waiting for us? I couldn't imagine them being so ludicrous.
俺が来ても来なくても、どうなろうと対処できるようにするのが普通だろう。ビルヘルムはそんなこと考えなくても、ルサルカは。
I couldn't imagine such a detail escaping that side beach. If this place didn't become a battlefield, she would just turn into the execution ground. She would just turn it into execution ground.
なるほどね。でもざっと回ってみた結果、人っ子一人いなかったよ。
Yep.
ここが普通の場所に見えるか？
いや、全然。もしかしたら、例えば壁の中、天井裏とか地面の下とか、
Okay.
侵入者を飲み込むことができるんだったら。
Again, not a bad guess. I mean, Rusaka can like just like, you know, I guess transport people through like shadows, right? She can like open shadows and they like swallow them.
それとも目に映る景色を実際とは違うように歪めて見せることができるとした
Yep, that's more like Wilhelm. And I might as well have been hiding the 500 students of the school somewhere in out of our sight.
けど確かめる方法はない。
答えがわからないなら、用だけ済ませて逃げるわけにもいかない。
ああ、ジーザス。さあ、困った。
いきなり攻撃してくる気配もないしな。
Though it also made me curious, why would Wilhelm let us run free inside a place like that? Might as well have been his belly. Was he waiting for something? What else was there? Was it a trap? Or a gunshot to signal to start a battle?
こっちから探ったりはできないの？
さっきからやろうとはしてるんだけどな。
Okay. Sensing another killing intent or impending storm after the calm was far beyond my capabilities. If that was what she wanted to know, my senses might have grown keener, but I was still no match for the war-trained soldiers, one of whom I was trying to find now. However, giving up was not an option.
少し真剣にやってみる。しばらく話しかけないでくれ。
Yeah, okay. Let's see if Honjo will actually try to find someone like Shiro tried.
了解。じゃあ周り見てるから集中して。
Okay, he will just make a lookout. Okay, so we will like tell him something like happens. Okay, fine. When things were peaceful, all she did was joke around. But now that things have taken a turn into the serious, she seems both collected and quick on her feet. No wonder Shiro saw something in her. Yeah, she's badass, but not that badass. Just like Shiro, because Shiro is just like freaking beast. He's like literally, I don't know. He's just awesome. Like fighting with Baig as like normal human. This is just like pure insanity. I guess Shiro cannot be considered really like normal human, right? Like Trifa let him go. He saw something in him. Like Shiro have foreknowledge, so he's somehow involved with Mercurius. So he's not technically only human, but still he's human. So yeah. She was a fine woman.
全部型がついたら飯でもおごるよ。
私
Good.
割と舌が肥えてるよ。
Okay, foreshadowing, she's dead.
大病院の院長令状だもん。
That's the death flag. I'm starting to rising death flags for this road now. Last time I started rising death flags for Kasumi, now I'm rising death flag for her. I gave her an ironic smile before closing my eyes to focus my senses. All animals had a sense of territory, and humans were no exception. Anyone would feel uncomfortable if someone they didn't like invaded their personal space. Just like how people prefer to sit a few seats apart in cafeteria, or how they chose the urinals farthest away from the occupied. They would always unconsciously try to maintain the distance from their kin whenever they could, and apparently it was a young man who needed the most personal space. And then what about me? What considered my usual territory? I couldn't tell if it was good or bad thing, but I felt quite certain of the fact that I needed more personal space than most. I mean, Kasumi had already called me asocial, but I barely had any friend. No wonder I disliked anyone being close to me. As I closed my eyes, I could feel it with my skin. Honjo standing next to me, not even a meter apart. I could sense her breathing, heartbeat, and mental state. I widened the radius further. 2 meters, 3, 4, 5, my territory extended like a sphere, both to the left and right, up and down. I created my own pocket world inside the Wilhelm realm. His will, of course, resisted my intrusion, and my realm extended at the snail space at the best, but I could still feel the area of my perception widen. And so,
どうした？
okay, he found Rea and Kasumi, right? Or just Rea? No, Kasumi is on the roof of the building, and Rusauka have fun with her, and he like perceived Rea now. Okay, yeah, right. Honjo eyed me as I jerked my head up. My sudden movements must have surprised her, but right now I felt more astonished than her.
先輩
Yeah.
氷室先輩が
それは本当に？
気のせいじゃない
She was on the third floor right below us. We must have checked that room just a couple minutes ago. They found it was empty, yet I could sense her quite clearly over there now. There was just no way I could mistake Rea Himuro for someone else. She was one of the very few people I cared about, just as much as Kasumi, if not even more.
わからね
I spotted her only because she was a regular person. I extended my senses, which weren't even that keen to begin with, to a widened area, so I doubt I could detect any of those warmongers, unless they themselves wished to be found.
え無事ではいると
She seems calm and self-possessed, her head half in the clouds, as usual. In any case, I didn't feel like she was either fleeing from someone or being confined. As such, there was only one thing to do.
本庄あの人を確保する
Why she was here? How was she related to those maniacs? This wasn't exactly the best time for the long, widened discussions, but I also couldn't just abandon
私
her.
らを連れ去ってことはないのかな？
Yeah, I guess that much myself. That possibility was high, and us getting into a heap of trouble even higher. Nonetheless,
俺は行くぞ誰がなんて言っても
はいはい。私も行ってみただけ。
yep, you have no choice. We gave each other a nod and dashed through the corridor. I jumped down the stairs, the third floor, in a single leap.
で、どこ？
I raised my hand and pointed into one of the rooms in silence.
組。
俺のクラスだ
Mine and Kasumi and Shiro's, and Sakurai's and
そ
Rusauka's.
りゃまた随分と濃いメンツで。
Wow. I bet she would feel just like at home in it. The school was the closest place I had to normal life, and also the first of my safe heavens to be destroyed. Just a group of 40 or so students laughing and angry at each other, studying and falling in love, chatting and playing around. This kind of peaceful, boring life you could come across practically anywhere. I'd hoped I could live out the rest of my life surrounded by the mundane bliss, yet was abruptly and cruelty taken from me. Hi Rea. The door opened with a repulsive creak, revealing a certain girl. Hi Rea.
藤井君。
Rea Himuro, once our senior in school, and now a tiny ticking bomb whose position in all this I couldn't quite discern. Depending on her answers, I might end up having to fight her as well. Yeah, she have like literally zero powers, outside of being able to bring Reinhardt back. My thoughts gave my way for sheer anxiety as I saw her, prompting me to let my guard down.
No.
Okay, yeah, and Sakurai is here, yeah, right. Sakurai, I would have been lying if I said my thoughts didn't freeze when I saw her emerge from the classroom after Himuro. If she had attacked me right then, I would have been dead in an
いや
instant.
ー桜井ちゃん、私に何の断りもなく帰るなんてひどいじゃない。
Wow. Okay. Ellie. Hanzo took a step forward with a smile, as if trying to cover me while I was still dumbfounded. Her voice betrayed no hint of surprise or anxiety. Something similar happened with Shiro as well. Like, Ren froze and Shiro was the first to start the conversation and he was like kinda protecting Ren. So she's basically doing the same. She like expected there to be someone watching over Himuro.
私はそっちの先輩と面識ないし、彼よりだいぶ薄情だからね。餌は食ってもつられやしないよ。で、お二人さんはここで。あなた誰？エリーと申しますです。テレジア先輩。この場はユサシロウの名代と思ってちゃ。
Okay, and she called her Teresia. Okay, so she basically instantly in like normal dialogue showed her knowledge about like, hey, you know, I know what's happening. I know someone else is calling you Teresia. It's not like the name that everyone uses. It's only Trifa who really calls her that.
ユサ君の元気は元気だけど、あいつはあいつでいろいろね。それって。
She turned her gaze to Sakurai, as I too friendly came back to my senses.
悪いな本庄。もう大丈夫だ。
うん、気にしない。そこがレン君のいいところ。
I took a step forward, letting Honjo step back instead. With Sakura in this place, it was a bad idea to let her stand in front unprotected.
先輩はまあ後で話そう。とりあえず無事そうで安心しました。
藤井君も。
Okay.
それで桜井。
The emotions I've been suppressing up until now erupted all at once, filling my eyes with rage. I wonder if Trifa will take Rhea again, just like in previous road. He literally, like in previous roads, he like summoned the spear, right? It was like a spear or like light in the school, and then like she disappeared. So I don't exactly know how the hell Trifa did that, but well, apparently his like weapon, like Reinhardt weapon, the Spear of Longinus, can like... Wait, is it Spear of Long... Yeah, it's Spear of Longinus, because the blade that Sakurai have is the copy of the Longinus that Reinhardt had, right? If I remember correctly from the backstory, because they created the copy? Right? Right. Okay, so Trifa have like basically copy of like original. Or maybe it is original, I didn't thought about this. Maybe he can summon actually the original weapon. Because he have like Reinhardt body. Might be. But yeah, somehow the lance can teleport people. I guess. Not even my consideration for Himuro and Honjo could stop me from starting daggers at Sakurai. To tell the truth, my blood had been boiling since last night. I was frustrated with my own naivete, my own stupidity, as well as the woman who dared kidnap Kasumi from right under my nose.
あいつはどこだ桜井。答えないと。
Yeah. Instantly jumping into conclusion, hey, yeah, you kidnapped her. Kill you right here and now. I might have grown to know her better during these past few days, but my anger at the moment far outweighed any sympathy I might have built for her. I ignored him with a bemused stare. Honjo must have said something as well, but I paid no attention to it. My gaze remained fixated on Sakurai and her alone. Depending on her answer, I might very well attack her right here and now. Therefore,
ごめんなさい。
her words left me surprised. I forgot my anger for a
こ
moment.
れあなたに答えられたらいいんだけど、今の私はそれもできない。
Okay.
笑ってちょうだい。今日この場の戦いから私は弾かれてしまったの。あなたの
Okay.
気持ちに答えられない。
They forbid her that last time too? Like specifically saying that she's forbidden from fighting? I don't remember. Might be the case.
それは
I know like she went to Kain And then she threw the sword for Rusauka, but I don't remember if they like specifically forbid her from fighting. What the hell was she talking about? She lost her will to fight me all of a sudden? What the fuck, that was my problem.
殺されるわけにはいかないけど、それ以外なら何をしてもいいわよ。あなたの気が済むのなら何だって。
まあ待った。
Hunter grasped my shoulder with a firm hand as I was about to blow up in rage and frustration.
仮にも女の子ちゃんが何してもいいとか言うのはどうかって話は置いといて。
Okay,
あんたまだ彼の質問に答えてないね。
of course.
かすみちゃんはどこ？私同性の友達少ないからあの犬っぽい子が気に入ってるんだけど。
Reminds me of a puppy. Yeah, Kasumi is kinda like lost puppy.
それは
Sakura fixed her eyes on the floor and fell silent. After a few seconds though, she jerked her head up again.
知らない。私は綾瀬さんがどこにいるかなんて聞かれても答えられない。
ここにいないのか。
いいえ、ついさっきまで一緒にいた。知らないうちにいなくなった。今のここは私の感覚が及ぶ世界じゃないの。
So, on dropping quicker on her foot, voiced my thoughts before I could.
ビルヘルムだね。
ええ。さっき私はあなたたちに見つけられやすいようにしただけ。ベイが隠す気になっているなら隠されたものは
Yeah.
なんであいつが霞を隠す。
わからないわよ。
その注意殿はどこに？
They do have plans for Kasumi. It's not just Trifa. It's not just Trifa, apparently. Because they definitely have some plan, but it's like not exactly the same as Trifa. Maybe they know truth about Kasumi as well, about Kasumi being like imperfect soul and kind. Maybe they dig up the info somehow. Or maybe they cooperating actually with Trifa. And they have the same plan.
わからない。
Sakura slowly looked around.
この学校自体が彼。どこにでもいるし、どこからでも出てくる。私たちの位置も会話もすべて筒抜けになってるはずよ。
吸血鬼の腹の中ね。どうするレン君？あんたは桜井ちゃんを締め上げたいだろうけど、そういう状況でもそれで肩がつくわけでも。
わかってる。
I swore never to trust the jackass again, but it really didn't seem like she was lying this time. In any case, our main objective here wasn't to teach her a lesson, as much as I wished it was.
もうお前のことなんかどうでもいい。やる気がないならどこかその辺で寝てろ。
そうね。
Might as well do that, yeah. Why not? I'm still like concerned, like I don't remember, because I don't remember exactly how this like went. That's why I'm like more interested than in the previous episodes in this one, because I thought that Sakurai at this point saw Kane already, and she's not seeing him. She grimaced, but as I said before, I was beyond caring. I had to find where Kasumi was, and then
先輩。
I thought like Rusauka showed Sakurai Kane beforehand. I thought like she saw her. She saw shown Sakurai Kane in the grounds. Yeah.
今のここに。
あ、
Eyes widened as I seized her by the shoulders, pulling her close.
教えてくれ先輩。他の生徒はいるのかいないのか。
She looked away from me and was silent, ignoring my questions. Yeah, they're pretty much dead. Also Rusauka first had fun with them. Yeah, that wasn't it. That was actually her way of answering it.
俺は。
I followed her gaze outside, where I could see one silhouette after another pop out in the yard. Faces both familiar and new. Both guys and girls, everyone from my year. Oh yeah, right. Kain was slandering them. Okay, now that's the part where Sakurai saw it, actually. Okay.
始まる。
So Kay knows, actually. It's not, she knows it from before. So why she jumped suddenly to Kane? I forgot why. She was like afraid from him like over exaggerating his like strength. But why would he do that? He wasn't like fighting anyone really. I don't remember that. Sakurai's voice felt distant. I could tell. There were about 200 people in the Yelper now. Some were dressed in uniform, some in casual clothes, and some in pajamas. All of them seems completely out of it. I couldn't. I think I looked through everyone over there, and she didn't seem to be among them. With her there or not, that certainly didn't seem like a good sign. Honjo voice, rank uncharacteristically urgent. I followed her finger with my gaze to see a giant frame, looming in the center of the yard, with the students surrounding it. A genuine monster, if I'd ever seen one. Yep, that's kind. If that thing was here, that means Sister Lisa was also around? Nope. Honjo voice trailed off. Sakurai looked away, while Himura simply shivered in my grasp. I merely gazed at the spectacle before me, completely dumbfounded. Yep. There was simply nothing I could do from here. Kain took the giant lump of metal in his hands. Much like in the club, it erupted in the blue-purple lightning, swallowing 100 or so students in the blink of an eye, leaving nothing but bloody smoke and burned flesh in the place. Himuro wrapped her hands around my back and pressed against me to block my vision, as if thinking she could escape the sniper, but merely refusing to acknowledge its existence. But it was too late. Her frame was much too small to cover my eyes. Can she really not you know, cover his eyes? Is she really that small? Like, what's her height? I'm questioning height of the characters now. Ren is not that particularly, like, tall, I think. So, what the hell? Some of the pieces of meat and entrails of what used to be my schoolmates were flung so hard they reached up to the first floor, splattering against the window in front of us. I could make out a severed hand and a piece of leg stuck against the window frame. That red mash was probably the remains of someone's heart, and that thing that looked like a blown up balloon must have been a lung. I even spotted a jaw and eyeball, a torn off scalp, with her still clinging to it, as well as half of the face, all destroyed beyond recognition. They all gave me condemning looks. Why didn't you come earlier? Why was a bastard like you in our school anyway? If you had never been around, I know, you would have never ended up like this. Oh. I could practically hear my mind crumble. My whole world was falling apart, my day-to-day life, a place for me to return to. Why did a depraved fool like me ever delude himself into thinking he could protect them? I don't think Ren in last game went and fight Kain. I think he instantly went to the rooftop. I'm not sure. Sheer frustration made my tears flow, and I was unable to stop them. I barely even know the faces of those massacred students. I mean, like, Sakurai told him that some guys controlling him and he went like upstairs or something. Not exactly, not sure exactly. And that weighted the heaviest upon my soul. It felt like an insult to their memory. I shoved him aside and rammed my fist into the glass. And yet, I lacked the strength to even shatter something as thin as that. The window remained intact, as if mocking me for being completely powerless, as if telling me I could never save anyone, that I was another sacrifice brought here to rot and to be burned into sludge. I uttered the fading scream, the very bottom of my heart, cursing the name of my mortal enemy. I make him pay, I kill him, Kain too, and the priest, and Rusaoka, and then Sakurai, and that accursed sister Lisa as well. Yep. Also, Ren is pretty savage. That was like comment from like a few episodes ago, I believe. But I forgot to mention this actually on like video, so I'm going to do this now because of like this what we just had. It's pretty like savage. So if you think about this, Ren, last time we checked, is superhuman, right? And he just like casually headbutted Kasumi to the point of passing out. And then, yeah, that can like provide some like permanent damage to Kasumi. He might just like kill Kasumi with the headbutt. Like, Ren didn't fought this truly, really. And there's Wilhelm. The temperature around suddenly shot 10 or so degrees down. A whole arrangement of scornful laughs, a snort, a chuckle, a guffaw, and the whole reverberated across the walls, merging into one continuous fit of maniacal laughter. And beneath it, the vilest, most genuine lusts of Hunter's blood. Okay. It was about to start. Wilhelm had yet to unveil the true face of his realm. Thus far, he had merely been playing around, but in this moment... Paid by my love. His voice reverberated in the night. The third stage of Evocate. I wasn't taught about it by anyone, but I could still feel it and comprehend its terror on my skin. Beria. I like how he says that. This is cool. I love this one. There it is. An overwhelming sense of exhaustion washed over me. One more intense than anything I ever experienced before. I could barely breathe, let alone stand. A vampiric knight, ready to drain the very life from all the dread venture into his realm. Such was the nature of Wilhelm's. His ever-amplifying willpower summoned the Crimson Veil to blanket the area. Cracks ran across the ceiling and walls, with even inanimate objects having their life force drained. Yeah? It was instinct alone that made me muster the last of my strength to leap with a scream. Yeah, last time Shiro was like able to dodging this by the pure instinct, because how freaking badass combatant he is. But yeah, Honjo don't have that kind of abilities. And Ren just like also just decided to just like protect her because, well, that was instinct as well. And he's superhuman, so yeah, he can like make it in time. A whole swarm of stakes suddenly shot out of the gaping cracks currently surrounding us. Had I not managed to grab the two confused girls and dive out harm's way, she would have been screwed like a pig. We were inside his belly. I had long since lost count of the number of stakes that appeared, all lusting for our blood. Was it a dozen, 100, 1,000? No. They sprouted tens of thousands, like thorns of the nightmarish rose. Okay. I had more resistance against this war than Honjo and Himuro. It was obviously me who should fight him, but what of Kane? Yeah? Himuro shivered in my arms. In the boundless forest of bloody stakes, I could make out the remains of bones and scraps of clothes hanging from their tips. I think like it's going different. I think at this point Rhea had other mindset. She didn't want it to die at this point, right? And that's what sealed the big three. And then Trifa retrieved her. I wonder if she will change her mind this road, or she will like actually still going to be like willing to die for the like Trifa plan, I guess. Huh. Among them, I recognize some of the pieces of our school uniform.
足りねえよ小僧。マリウスが集めたの300人。それっぽっちの劣等じゃ俺の腹は膨れねえ。ここのスラスチカは開かね
Okay.
え。やるんだろ。買ってくれるんだろ戦争を。退屈させんな色男。てめえの面あいつに似すぎて、そこの女どもやりたくなるぜ。
Okay. But Wilhelm, you said like... I don't remember when, but you said like you will not rape subhumans? And you call them subhumans? So, yeah. But yeah, apparently he doesn't like mind at this point. Wilhelm being Wilhelm. Okay. Okay, that's a lot of laugh.
霞は
In an attempt to drown out his ridiculous crackle with the roar of my own, I ask him the most important question of them all.
霞は一体どこにいるお前がさらったのかビルヘルム
Laughter was all that answered me. He must have been getting a kick out of observing my rage from the place I couldn't reach. I suppressed my anger. Now wasn't the time for my emotions. Wilhelm the bastard who snatched Kasumi out of Sakura's hand, without the latter even realizing it, refused to clarify whether or not she was okay. In other words, there was still hope.
わかるな本長
おおよそはね。
Okay. I didn't need to give her careful instructions. She was smart enough to figure things out just by looking at my face. Yeah, just escape with Rhea. Yet, infrequently enough, Wilhelm was just as quick-witted.
べや小僧。上か下か。
What?
どっちと戦う
Oh!
血を助けるどれを選んでも構わねえぞ。
Okay, so basically, he gives him a choice to go up to fight with Rusauka or down, so stay here and fight with Wilhelm. So basically, save Kasumi or save them. Well, that suck. The window glass shattered, taking the whole frame with the impact, opening the path to the yard. And so I made my choice.
信じてるぞ本長
Okay?
まあ、期待に添えるよう頑張るよ。
Only I could stop Kain at this point, and okay, so he fought Kain at the beginning. That's why Sakurai went and tried to like calm Kain down because he was like breaking apart. Okay, maybe that was the case last time. And also, Ellie is going to actually fight Wilhelm. Like what? I can't imagine that. I could imagine that like happening with Shiro, but I cannot imagine Ellie fighting like Wilhelm. Like, what? How? How? Is she really that badass that she can like fight the actual vampire just like Shiro? If she can fight him just like Shiro, then holy shit. That will be like one of the best things ever. And as unfortunate as it would be, it didn't matter if I left Wilhelm alive as long as I could save the remaining students at Kasumi. It was the race against the clock, both for Honjo and myself. The longer we tarried, the more of our life force Wilhelm would devour. In any case, I couldn't let the Canes slaughter everyone. So my choice was clear.
ルサルカには気をつけろあいつもきっとどこかにいる
Yeah, okay.
それから
I stopped in front of crumpled Himuro and looked in her eyes. In her face. One of my few friends. I was damp and naive, so I had no clue what sort of position she was in, or what she was thinking, but my words and actions were probably driving her further and further into a corner. At that moment I just wanted to put my thoughts into
俺は
words.
先輩も信じてる
I muttered that and wrapped my hands around her slender figure.
先輩が好きだ大事な人だからなくしたくない
Okay, I saw that you've read and told me in the comments that we should be safe on the road now. And I'm on Kasumi Road, right? I'm still on Kasumi Road, right? If I'm not, let me know in the comment. If I should backtrack to like one of the previous choices. Okay, that's sus. I guess even if it would be like Kasumi Road, this scene would make sense anyway. Because Ren don't really like, you know, like Sakurai. It's just like her road. It doesn't really mean that like they need to like fall in love with each other. But still, this make me feeling weird. Because the road of the character, I thought like he would say that to Sakurai or something at some point, but no.
俺は何も知らないしわからないけど、だからもっと話したいし、一緒にいたいと思ってる。
藤
これが終わったら、俺たちと帰ろう。先輩はこんなところにいちゃダメだ。
This thing may happen last time as well, and I'm just like not remembering it, you know? Because this kind of speech will let her like to think that I don't wanna die. And now should be the place where like Trifa just snatching her away, right?
私
I stood up, interrupting her words. I stole a glance at Honjo, whose face seems to have flashed pink for some reason. She does not have a gun in the knee socks, by the way. That was false info.
こういうこと言う場合じゃないのは分かってるけど、一つ忠告をさせてよ、レン君。
Okay.
忠告
The hell? Did she come up with some new strategy against those psychos or what?
あんた、天性の女ったらし。あんまり今みたいなこと、誰にでもポンポン言うもんじゃないってば。
Okay. I mean, Rhea likes Ren for a while now, so... That wasn't supposed to mean. Oh my god, Ren, you are so dumb sometimes.
誰にでも言ってるわけじゃねえぞ。
The only other people I might say stuff like that would be Kasumi, Mari, and, well, probably Honjo too.
気に入ってるやつにしか言わない。
いや、だから、そういうことじゃなくてさ。
Yeah. I had no idea what she was talking about, but Himura still held it on my sleeve and regarded me with silent eyes.
はあ、もう、絶対勘違いされるよ、これ。
Yeah.
私どうなっても知んないからね。
Yeah, yeah, whatever. I placed my hand on Honjo's shoulder and looked her in the eye again.
かすみと先輩は任せる。
オッケー。了解。
I wasn't sure what to do about her casual tone. Either way, once I'd called myself, I shot an angry scowl at the curtain of stakes covering the floors and walls. I could sense Wilhelm laughing at us from beyond their veil. I wasn't going to forgive him, and I definitely make him pay for this eventually. But I had more important matters to take care of now. Seeing my heart, I considered the yard below. Yep. To Volcane, the disgusting dyed bastard. It despised the very concept of their existence.
Good luck.
ああ、エマすんなよ。
Yep. I leapt out the window. As I landed, I swept the other students out of my way. There it is. Hi, Mari, in your combat form. It was time to continue where we left off, and we'll continue in the next episode. We're going to see this fight in the next episode. Why not? It seems like it's a cool part to like end the episode actually. Like, yeah, next time we're going to have fight with Kain and probably fight with Bei somehow. Okay, I need to see Ellie fighting against Bei. she may actually, I don't know, she may have a chance against Bei. Maybe she's like, I mean, she's smart, right? She's like pretty much genius. So I think like Shiro is like pure like experienced like combat badass basically, but she will be able to like trick Bei somehow, you know? He's like insane senses. She will be able to like make up some plans and just like avoid things and just like somehow manage to fight him with her wits. So yeah, I'm excited about this, so I hope you do as well. So leave up a like if you are, and yeah, leave up a subscribe if you're not subscribed. Check my Discord, you can also become a member if you want to check the episodes earlier and support me this way. Thank you everyone, thank you for being with me, I appreciate your support, and I will see you in the next road. And to confirm for me if I'm actually on the Sakurai road, because that last part just got me like kinda dumbfounded. So yeah, anyway, thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. So for now, good watch. It's going out.